Hello, so today I'll be talking about the difference between the red team and the blue team. The one significant difference between the red team and the blue team is that the red team is focused more on the offensive principle of engagement on a target, such as a computer network, while the blue team is focused on guarding against these attacks by incorporating various defensive capabilities on those targets. So, for example, on the red team side, there's a recon phase, which consists of scanning IP addresses and port numbers, subdirectories, and the tools that of the craft the red team uses is Nmap, for example, with IP and port scanning, and subdirectories would be something like GoBuster and DirBuster. They do the same thing basically, and the red team tries to exploit and compromise and circumvent a computer network using these tools, while the blue team incorporates SEIM or SIEM, which stands for Security Information and Event Management, IDS and IPS, which IDS stands for Intrusion Detection System and IPS stands for Intrusion Prevention System, and they are configured on the networks to detect and prevent intrusions on the systems. The blue team also has security controls tested. So what is a red team anyway? Since a red team has an attacker mentality, they focus their primary focus on attacks are on systems monitored by the blue team to understand and bypass the defense mechanisms that are put in place by the blue team again. This in turn can help security professionals find vulnerabilities on target machines so that in a production environment there is less of a chance that these servers are affected by adversaries. In a purple teaming cybersecurity exercise, the red team consults with the blue team in order to figure out mitigations to put in place to secure a network. And both sides coordinate in this setting to maximize efforts in defending Active Directory, for instance. And this way, an organization can also better prepare for advanced persistent threat groups. And it's also used in the Atomic Red Team framework, which is provided by the Red Canary company, which is an open source adversary simulation program. So the red team skills and responsibilities include a requirement to perform pen testing attack techniques on target systems and report on their findings. This usually involves replicating common threat group tactics, techniques, and procedures (TTPs) so that they can coordinate with the blue team by recommending security procedures. They may deploy malware on a target to gain access to the system. Red team performed penetration testing techniques on Windows, Linux, and Mac OS, and followed the MITRE ATT&CK framework on these TTPs to emulate the threat actors. And for example, I've been testing the threat actor groups on APT41, Wizard Spider, and Sandworm team, and they have their TTPs using the Atomic Red Team framework. And recently there has been an increase in Active Directory attacks due to the fact that there are common mistakes by system administrators in regard to the default configuration set by Microsoft when they ship Windows Server. That is why Microsoft highly recommends properly configuring Active Directory before deploying it for an organization. The red team skills include strong understanding of computer systems and protocols, skills in software development and programming custom tools to circumvent these computer networks, penetration testing as a means to exploit common vulnerabilities. The Metasploit framework is an example of such a way to do that, and bringing social engineering to the forefront by phishing, impersonating others to gather information, and usually that can also include by emailing or messaging, SMS, and phone call, like phishing is another way to do it. Let's take a look at blue team. So what is the blue team anyway? They are comprised of security professionals who are tasked to defend computer networks by maintaining a good threat analysis and alert system. For example, in Windows Active Directory server, admins are supposed to make sure that users connecting to the AD are authorized based on the principle of least privilege. And Microsoft has a good user guide for configuring the setup with certain group policies. They are the defenders and are always making sure that the methods of logging are always scanning for potential threats. Within the context of purple teaming, blue teams require access to log data, SEIM data, threat intelligence data, and network traffic capture data to find all aspects of red team exercises. And their responsibilities include to make sure that their computer systems and networks are secured and available updates have been patched. There are also some cases where updates are not readily available by a certain hardware or software vendor, so blue teams need to advise or incorporate a safety net to guard against a previously unknown threat. For example, recently there was a Microsoft support diagnostic tool vulnerability issued as CVE 2022-3190, dubbed as Folina, which enabled attackers with the capability to compromise a system via remote code execution or RCE. This involved an attacker circumventing the MSDT protocol to launch an application such as Microsoft Word or Excel and run arbitrary code to install programs, view, change, or delete data, or create new accounts in the context allowed by the user's rights. Microsoft was also aware of this and created a guide as a workaround and patched it in 2 weeks later on June 14th of this year. Blue team skills include a great understanding of the security strategies between people, systems, and networks, analyzing and identifying potential threats, setting them at a higher priority, and responding to them in time, establishing hardening techniques that include securing DNS to prevent phishing campaigns, and being aware of alerts from security detection tools and systems for the organization. And why are they both important? In order to become a great red teamer, you need to know the basics of the blue team operations, and also vice versa for the blue teamer. Both are worth studying and comparing from one to the other based on the respective operations, because they are polar opposites. And that is why organizations are increasingly trying to employ red teams and blue teams to better protect against cyber attacks. With that said, there is also the concept of the purple team, which is designed to combine both efforts to protect an organization from outsiders. And this is a graphic provided by CrowdStrike. And the idea for the purple team is that it's a synonym for the red team and purple team exercises. And they are basically comprised of the red and blue teams working together to share information and insights in order to improve the organization's overall security. And it can include things like test techniques, access points, vulnerability scanning also is included in that, closing gaps by the blue team, and strengthening defense. By incorporating these two sides of the purple team, you get the red team and blue team together, and you can solve these problems that organizations face. And so there you have it for the resources that I had to research on this topic for red team and versus blue team. So thank you for watching, and have a nice day.